Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Whether you're watching on YouTube or you're reading this on my blog, welcome back. I wanted to do a quick recap of where I left off in January. I did a full video on just closing out my January budget, but I'll just start this out before I get into my February budget of how I plan to allocate my money and do my zero-based budget for the month. I'll just continue where I left off last month, just to give you guys a quick overview. So at the beginning of the year, I was around 75,000. As you guys can see here, I am at 68,000. 338 with 1 month in. I paid about $6,662 in January for my debt. So pretty good month for me. I'm really proud of the progress. Hopefully I can keep it up and I can stay on task to be debt free in 12 months. So you guys can see here, I just have a little graph or chart that I can create. If anyone's interested, I can share this calculator. It's just a Excel calculator that I created that will allow me to track my debt over 12 months. But anyway, that's just a quick recap of where I'm at. 1 month into it, 11 months to go. You guys see I'm down to 68,000. Okay, let's jump into the budget for February. So February, as I mentioned, if you guys watched the previous video, if not, I'll leave it in the show notes as well down below. I typically do my budget. I do it a month ahead. So as far as my income, so I'll explain just really quick. So all the income that came in January, I put towards February, so a month ahead. I typically like to do that. It just gives me peace of mind to be able to pay all of my bills at the very beginning of the month. So I'm just used to that system. So that's what I do. I don't recommend, like I'm saying, not saying that's the best way to do it, but that's what I'm most comfortable with. I understand that some people won't, it takes time to build that up and everyone's not in the same situation, but I just wanted to be transparent with how I do my budget. Anyway, so the income amount that I had come in January, that's going towards February, I had 13,279, as you guys can see. That was partly my income, some side jobs I had as well outside of my regular job, and then I had a little bit that came in from taxes as well from refund. So that's just a quick breakdown. As I mentioned earlier in my video, I don't want to give the specifics of how much my salary is. I will later on do some videos where I go into my side income and what I'm doing to generate that, just so you guys can see what I'm doing to help increase my revenue so I can pay off my debt faster, because that's really going to be the key. Cutting expenses and increasing your income are the two quickest ways to get your debt paid off. All right, let's jump into the budget here. I'll get set up really quick. We'll jump through this. So as I mentioned earlier, rent and mortgage, I don't have anything. My partner, she has agreed to cover the rent and some of the other rent and groceries. I'll cover some of the utilities while I'm paying off my debt. So that's us working together to get that done. She's already taken care of all her debt, so we're just knocking out the remaining debt that I have. So there's nothing there. Phone, I do have my cell phone, which I get reimbursed. The amount is $115 that I'm going to put towards cell phone. Internet and cable, this came down a little bit from last month. It was typically like 170, but it dropped off some. So, oh, sorry about that. Facebook notifications. So it came down some to 156. Also, let's jump into nets. The AT&T Digital Life, that's just security. That's the same every month. It's 70.35, so I'll leave that there. Water, gas, electricity, trash. I don't have anything to pay there. That's another bill that she takes care of as well. Life insurance, that's the same every month, $14.62. Medical, that did go up. It used to be $228.50 all of last year, but with the new changes with the healthcare, it's went up quite a bit. I do get a reimbursement, partial reimbursement, so I don't pay as much, but I still have to cover some costs out of pocket. That's 301. Car insurance went down as well this month. It was like $90 last month. It's about 86, so not a lot, but it went down some. Spotify, we have a shared plan, which I cover. It comes out to around 21.33. Buffer, this is the same each month. It's a app I use for automation for social. It's about $10 a month, so that's there. Debt, car payment is 23, doesn't change. This student loan, 395, and this student loan is 168. These never change. As you guys can see in the subject over here, I just keep them there because they, um, as a reminder, they don't change. As I continue to pay them off and get my stone ball rolling, then I will incorporate those and merge them as they go. So let's skip debt payoff. I come to that last because I want to get all my expenses covered, and then whatever I have remaining, I'll put towards the debt. That will be extra. Groceries, again, I don't have to cover that, so zero for that. Gas, typically around 75. I drive a Honda, so it's really good on gas. I used to have a Jeep. That thing was not so good on gas, but the Honda's really good. Spending money, this is just anything random that comes up in the mind. I had some left over. Same thing with gas. I had gas money left over from last month, so I had some spending left from last month as well. I'm just gonna roll that to 175. I did cut my budget there. We both decided this was 200 last month, but we cut it to give more room for groceries, and I have it there, but we had a trip for a bachelor party of a friend of mine that was already planned. I spent a little bit more than what I probably would have spent. So this may go up or go down, depending on the month, but it should stay around 200. Haircut, I had money left over there as well. As I mentioned in my January budget, I typically was getting a haircut every week. I've cut it down to 3 times a month. With tip, it comes to about $30 a haircut. So we'll just leave that at 90. I had some left over from that as well last month. So just leave that there. Close that out. Rainy day predictable. All right, so car maintenance. I don't have anything coming up with there, so I can just leave that there. Uh, Again, just to give a quick recap, the predictable is just income that I know is going to come up, or I guess some people refer to it as a sinking fund, just expenses that you know you're going to happen, so you just throw money into them. Vitamin and health, I'm going to just put $10 there. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit more there because I know I'm going to need to stock up on some supplements and protein. So I'll add 50 there to make sure that's covered, and then I'll put 10 under clothing for this month because I'm not going to buy any clothing this month, but I'll just have some money there. Just in case I decide to running events, not doing any running, no annual fees, no music festivals, skincare, workout gear, none of that I don't need, so I'm not going to put anything towards those this month. Rainy day, unpredictable. I got $76 there for car. I got my emergency fund if I need to. I'm not going to put anything towards any of these as much because because there's nothing that I'm going to be spending out of there, hopefully. So we'll just leave that like it is. Savings goal. I do have to. We are, as I mentioned in the January video, we are taking a trip to Hawaii for a week later this month, but that's already covered, so I don't need to put anything there to cover that. But I do have a trip coming up. I know in March and in June for a wedding for a really good friend of mine. I mean, typically anything that I had that comes up this year that wasn't already planned last year before I started this plan, I'm not going to add on. But this is already a prior arrangement that I had already agreed to be a part of. So he's a really good friend of mine. So I'm going to honor that. I do know I have a trip coming up there for March and April. So I'm just going to put 1,000 there because I just want to make sure I have some money to cover that trip and I can stay on plan and it doesn't throw me off from my goal of becoming debt free. So I'll throw that there. Christmas, nothing to throw there. Gifts, not going to put any funds towards that. As I mentioned earlier, I do have like 1% cashback cards and like 1% on like a savings account where I get like 10 to 20 bucks that come in just regularly. So I'll just use that money to go towards this account whenever that comes in. Emergency fund, there is nothing to go there. I did have some income that came in just from side income that's already came in January that will go there. That may change. I may have additional come in this month. I'll decide if I need to put it here. In most cases, it will go towards next month. So that is a wrap with that. Extra income. Should probably start putting that under side hustle. All the right now, I'm just throwing all income into one category, so I should probably just start differentiating how much side income I have coming in. I'll start doing that as you got as I go on in the later months, so you guys can see exactly how much the side income is coming in. Investment and profit share. There's nothing coming in or that needs to be invested into these categories, so I will get rid of those. So looks like I have remaining. Make sure I covered everything. It looks good. Looks like I have all my categories covered. I have about 10,000 extra dollars to throw towards my debt. So I want to get this down to 0. This is my first time doing this on video, so I hope I'm not making any mistakes. If I have to do any updates, I'll come back in and I'll just recap that at the end of the month recap if anything changes. But looks like everything is good. We should be covered um, on everything. Oh, as I mentioned earlier, if you didn't watch the first video, that emergency fund, I'm probably just going to let that go up to 20,000 and I'm going to stop putting money there. I know, and in some cases, specifically, I know Dave Ramsey talks about just using everything you have except for $1,000 and paying it off. As I mentioned earlier, I just want a cushion there just in case something happens. Not saying anything's going to happen, but I just want to be covered. I will probably eventually just take that and throw it towards my debt. I just haven't been able to build up the courage to pull the trigger on that. If anyone who is watching this that has done something similar, I would love your feedback on what you did to get over that fear. But right now, I haven't been able to get myself over it. So that is it for my budget. I got my budget down to 0. So I think I am good for the month. With February, like I said, I'll do a check-in or recap at the end of the month if anything changes with my budget. But that is my budget for the month. Again, I don't know if I mentioned this in the beginning of this video, but the program that I'm using is YNAB. I'll link it up in the show notes. The version I'm using is YNAB 4. It's a desktop version. I don't believe they carry that anymore. They carry a cloud-based version, but it's still a pretty good deal. I just haven't switched over one. I don't want to spend the extra money. It's not that much. It's like $30 a year, but I'm just used to the desktop version. It works fine for me. It's like a spreadsheet on steroids. So I'm going to continue using that until they no longer support it. So thank you guys for tuning in. Again, if you have any feedback, any comments, anything I'm missing, or any suggestions, something more you'd like to see, please leave it in the show notes. Until then, I will talk to you later.